I saw something very different in YKK. I saw that they considered the community the same way they consider the employees and the customers. I heard Tadao Yoshida, and I've heard his son say on many occasions, pointing his fingers at the leaders of the company and say, your job is not to maximize profits. Maybe you read that in some book or studied it in school, but that's not your objection, that's not your mission. Your objective is to fulfill the cycle of goodness in every sense. When I was in high school and college, I worked in a cotton mill. It was very dirty work, but I enjoyed it and I liked the people. And I graduated from Georgia Tech and I went into the Navy for 3 years. And then when I was coming out of the Navy, it was like June of 1973, and someone told me that a Japanese company was looking for a textile engineer in Macon, Georgia, which was my wife's hometown. So I interviewed with them and they talked about philosophy, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what a philosophy was. I thought companies made product and sold product, but I didn't know there was anything to do with philosophies or anything like that. And then I got out of the Navy, I went to Lyndhurst and I worked for 2 months. And then I went to Kurobe for 3 months, from October of 1973 until January of 1974. And it was during that time that I began to realize what Tadao Yoshida stood for and what the philosophy was, and how no one prospers without rendering benefit to others, and the cycle of goodness. And that was a very good time for me to study the company and the corporate culture and everything. So that was my root.
I started out, my entire career until joining YKK was at government and nonprofit organizations. And initially I really didn't have any interest at all in working for a business, because I was thinking that a business is an organization that's only thinking about profit, making money, and you know, that there's no opportunity in that sort of situation to be able to give back to society. But then, you know, I knew a few people who worked at YKK, and YKK is very well known in, I live in Atlanta, but within the Atlanta community, it's very well known as being a company that is always involved with the community, is always doing something, you know, to give back, either through donations or volunteer activities. And so, you know, when I was thinking about making a career change, really YKK was the only company that I considered, because I knew about the cycle of goodness philosophy. The way that we started it initially is we had, you know, 2 to 3 hour long workshops where we gathered all the employees together and talked very much in depth about the YKK philosophy. And, you know, that of course was really wonderful and people really enjoyed it. But because it's, you know, it was such a long workshop, and, you know, we made very many comprehensive materials and, you know, big booklets and PowerPoint presentations and whatever, you know, it's really not feasible to do it more often than once a year, really.
We created one of these for all of our employees. It lists the 25. And these were created by people who understood the philosophy and the management principles and the core values. Everything we put in this book is consistent with that.
We came up with 25 what we call the fundamental behaviors. And what these are again, very concrete, you know, instructions. These are what we want for you to do. And we came up with these behaviors, and then what we do is each week we focus on one behavior, and we go in order. Every single company in every single country within our region will discuss the same behavior on the same week. So week number 1, behavior number 1, and we go all the way through. But the key to this is actually making it very, very simple.
First, I send around a little message from me explaining what that behavior means to me. Every week we will discuss one of these. Even if we're in a meeting with a customer, we will talk about this week our topic is this, and we'll discuss it for 2 or 3 minutes with our customers.
Every single week, every single meeting, we keep going over these, and then when we get to number 25, we start all over again. We started off with doing workshops that were cross-functional, and we had people from all over, from our 8 countries within our region, come in and work in teams. And I got to know, people that work in Canada and people that work in Colombia. Sometimes people feel like, oh, I have so many things to do, in my normal job, and like now I have to go to all of this effort to be, talking about the philosophy and core values, and I'm already so busy. How can I possibly, handle doing something else? But what we found in our region is that through these activities, it's actually helped the rest of our business work, more smoothly, and created a better atmosphere.
When things go wrong, things don't go as planned, it's important to have managers that are positive and never looking for faults in their employees.
We all have days when we are down, but we can be a team with positivity that picks each other up. I know I will face new challenges, new faces, and new issues that I will need to deal with. Let's be positive. It's going to be a good year.
I really enjoyed your story this week. Until relocating to Georgia about 8.5 years ago, I never fully appreciated or understood the positive impact that YKK has in Georgia and the number of people that are connected to our company through family or friends in one way or another.
This time, I was personally impacted, thinking about the huge responsibility that missing a tiny detail could mean. I got so nervous thinking about that scene, with myself as the guy with that heavy responsibility. I think this is a perfect lesson to call our attention to the importance of every detail, every person, every step we take.
As I read about your mother, tears came to my eyes. My mother is 87 and lives with me, and her health is requiring much more attention. I would like to recognize my manager for being understanding and willing to work with my schedule to accompany my mother. I have been blessed. I believe Fundamental 23 will touch many hearts.
On October the 26th, 2017, my son was in a serious accident that caused major trauma to his stomach area and left leg. He spent 27 days in ICU and had 17 surgeries. He spent another 27 days on the 5th floor trauma unit. During this time, YKK management and co-workers showed me and my family how caring they really are. I received phone calls, text messages, food, blankets, pillows, money, and much needed prayers. My family was amazed of the support we were giving from them and how management worked with me on my schedule to be with him. This made me think about the fundamental behavior, give back.
My biggest learning from him was to treat the employees with great respect. Great respect. You need to communicate with them. You need to provide training for them. You need to explain to them what's going on. For example, the quality of our products. You don't just tell the employee, we make a zipper. You bring the dress or the bag or something in and say, we're making this. We should take pride. We should take pride in this.
Culture is just what exists. Culture is it's a reflection of how people behave. So we can't really create a culture, but what we can do is try to change people's behaviors.
The ultimate goal is a corporate culture that reflects these principles and this philosophy. One thing I've noticed within our company is sometimes we'll have guests who will visit YKK in Canada or YKK in Mexico, or YKK AP in the United States, or YKK in the United States, and they will tell me, I don't know what it is, but I see something similar in all the places. Something in the people is the same, but I don't know what it is. I know what it is. You know what it is. It's our corporate philosophy.
What's really great about working for a global company and you have this philosophy that basically everybody can understand is that you can take the philosophy and then figure out what's the best way to communicate that, you know, within the cultural context, you know, that you need to communicate it in. You know, we have a lot of different cultures, even within the North and Central America group. You know, we cover everywhere from Canada to Colombia, but it doesn't matter which country you go to. You know, people are really moved by the story of the person that started out, you know, from hardly anything and had so many difficulties in building the company.
We're so lucky we have videos of him. We have audio tapes of him speaking. We have the books that he wrote and the books about him, and we have this museum. So this is part of that communication process we're going through now, is putting Yoshida Tadao directly in front of our employees through the videos. And so far it has been extremely positive, very good reaction. They say, oh, now I understand the philosophy much better, just hearing him speak. The tenderness, the sincerity, the humility. You know, you can read about that, but when you see him talking and hear him talking, then you say, ah, now I understand.